Hey folks, Kilt-Man here. Kilt-Man at your services. How are you all? We're all doing very, very well. Now, wherever you are in the world, it's a Freedom Friday as I'm recording this right now. It's a Freedom Friday, the gateway to the weekend. By order of Kilt-Man, you are to have fun today and for the weekend. No matter what's happening in the world, we all know, half of you think it's all gone to rat shit. The other half of us know it's gone to rat shit. Who fucking cares? The world keeps on turning. Politics will always divide us. Religion will always divide us. We just can't get along. Unless we're talking movies. Especially movies about zombies. Because they're back. Zombies are back with a vengeance. Anyway, right, now, those in the know will realise that if I'm wielding a can of Foster's, it means two things. One, I found the wife's secret stash of lager again. She keeps moving it around and I keep finding it. I sniff it out. And two, it means I've run out of whiskey. Yeah. But anyway, folks, cheers y'all. There you are. Bottoms up. Yeah. It's blacky stuff, innit? But anyway, zombies. Weirdly, this year I've done a lot of videos talking about vampire movies, because they've been on the uptick. We've got more on the way. Nosferatu, Robert Eggers. All the reviews came in literally yesterday, and wow, it's everything we expected by the sound of things. But obviously I'll be talking more about that. Werewolves, my favourite monsters of all time. Werewolves have made a massive resurgence this year. There's been loads of movies, and there's more to come. You've got Frank Grillo in Werewolves, a big werewolf war movie type of thing. And then you've got Blumhouse and Wolfman in January. Yeah, well, whatevs. But zombies! You know, the big thing is like vampires, werewolves, zombies. They are the hugest elements in the sort of monster pantheon of cinematic macabre. And they have cycles, they run in these cycles, and zombies are now certainly coming back. I've talked a lot about them lately as well, which is bizarre to find out only yesterday there was 2 zombie movies which have been made, one of which is already out, and I've yet to see it, but it's actually out for streaming right now. And that is Apocalypse Z, or Apocalypse Z, a Spanish movie about a guy and his cat that are cycling across Spain to get to the Canary Islands to meet up with his family during a huge outbreak of, well, whatever it is, this virus is making people into zombie-like aggressors. So, he's a cross-country odyssey with violence and danger at every turn, and a pussycat as well. And I don't know what reviews have said about it, but you know, it sounds intriguing enough, and I will seek it out. But it's one of these where, are they really zombies, or is it just, it's a plague that's doing it? I don't know. And then there's another movie, which is coming out. It's been made, no release date, no trailer as yet. But I guarantee you, as I'm sitting here pontificating, I bet your trailer drops. That's just what happens, you know. And it's called Outbreak. And a nice, very generic sort of term, Outbreak. And again, it appears to fit into the subcategory of zombie movies like 28 Days, Weeks, Years Later, like The Crazies from George Romero himself and its remake, like Rabid from David Cronenberg and its remake as well. These sort of, and World War Z with Brad Pitt, where we don't want to call them zombies because they're not zombies. They're carrying a plague, but they act like zombies, whether they shamble or whether they run after their victims. I mean, 28 Days Later does do something different because they don't devour their victims. They just beat them to a pulp, you know, and you can be infected again. But it's kind of ill-defined and kind of freakish and scary because it's more believable. World War Z, of course, based on the book itself, they were zombies. It was a zombie apocalypse. But then, of course, they made the movie and like, oh, we're not going to call them zombies because they're carrying a plague. And of course, the film itself was not the full version. Brad Pitt was meant to go to Russia and fight, almost like the Battle of Stalingrad, with a last stand of international warriors fighting hordes of the infected. That's how it was meant to be. And they filmed some of it as well. It never got out there. And they realised, well, we can't afford to do this properly, so let's just chop out all the bits we filmed in this big battle sequence, and let's just go to Wales and film it like an episode of Russell T Davies's Doctor Who. We'll film it in and around Cardiff. And a really watered down, dead low key finale. I like that film. It's got some pretty special, exciting moments in Jerusalem with the Salvation Gates. Jesus, and all the infected form a living tower to bring down a helicopter. Oh my God, and they're surging at high speed like a tsunami of flesh down all the streets. And you've got the beleaguered Israeli soldiers having a little last stand. Yeah, it's got some very exciting moments. But overall, it didn't really hang together. But again, they're plague victims, they're not zombies. And this film, Outbreak, is another one of those to a degree. All we've got is a few photos, which I've got, and I think I put them on the post on YouTube. The 3 actual photos, official ones that have been leaked out. And I've seen the poster as well, but that doesn't give too much away either. But the synopsis is a park ranger who, along with his wife, is struggling to find his missing teenage son during an outbreak of a zombie-like virus. The victims of this virus act like zombies, right? And he's trying to find his missing son. The photos, 2 of them, they're indoors, but one is kind of like a more deserty-like sort of region. But I was immediately intrigued by this. I thought, park ranger, missing teenage son. You guys know how much I follow David Paulides and the Missing 411 phenomenon of people going missing in national parks under mysterious circumstances and never being found, or being found under even more mysterious circumstances. And I've talked about that, and I've always steered you towards looking into it for yourselves. It's very fascinating. So I thought, oh, park ranger, missing teenage son, zombie plague. Ooh, I'm in. I'm right in. This park ranger is played by Billy Burke, who only found out was a singer-songwriter as well. Didn't know that. But he's in the Twilight movies. I'm not a fan of those, by the way. But he's in them. And he's in, what else is he in? Along Came a Spider, Fracture, a few other things. And but yeah, in the stills he looks a bit like oh God, Rowdy Roddy Piper in They Live. You know, he's got a plaid shirt on, a check shirt to some of you people, and he's got weaponry, and he looks like he's here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And he's all out of bubblegum, you know, and I'm all out of whiskey. God, so I should be kicking ass myself, shouldn't I? But this film was made by a fella called Jeff Wolfe. Now, Jeff Wolfe is he's a former stuntman and second unit director. Second unit means he was directing the action scenes. Doesn't always mean that, but in his particular case, that's what he was doing. And he worked on movies like Pirates of the Caribbean movies, Expendables, did I write this down? Captain America, First Avenger, Hidalgo, and many others. But now he's behind the camera and he's the head honcho. And he's making this movie. Now, looking at the pictures and looking at the guy who's playing the lead, I'm getting a sort of offbeat indie vibe about this. And I'm certainly not against that sort of thing. Like, he was the guy that did Blackout, one of the werewolf movies of this year. Larry Fessenden. He did one called Stakeland, and which is a vampire apocalypse movie. And again, it's very offbeat. It's not what you expect. It's not the norm. And I like these sort of low budget, it's kind of independent, sort of indie vibe movies where they don't go along the generic route. I mean, in a way, all of George Romero's movies were like that as well. George Romero, of course, started the entire cycle of the flesh-eating zombie movie. Zombies weren't like that to begin with. They were just in a trance. They were dead people who were recruited from the grave to go and work in the plantations or in the mines or just do the bidding of their master. They didn't eat flesh. They didn't need to. They were dead. But these guys, under George Romero's tutelage, became flesh eaters that we know and love. And of course, in the Romero movies, the zombies were always a metaphor for the social ills of the times that the films were made. And their allegory ran rife. And the biggest aggressor, the biggest threat didn't come from them. On their own, they're useless, they're pathetic. En masse, they surround you, overwhelm you, you've had it. But the real threat came from wherever you were holed up with your fellow living human beings. Because that's where bigotry, rivalry, and just resentment and animosity got built up. The world as it is, the human race as it is, just depicted against an apocalyptic vision of zombies. And of course, if you've been watching the next videos, you'll know I've been bigging up my review of George Romero's seminal 1968 classic masterpiece, Night of the Living Dead, which will probably be tomorrow when that video drops. I haven't done it yet, folks. I haven't done it. I've been busy all week, and but I'm going to go deep dive on that. And it does start the whole flesh-eating zombie cycle, which of course Lucio Fulci took the reins as well. Romero came back again. Zack Snyder did a remake of Dawn of the Dead, and which was greatly received. All of these films, the zombie genre just exploded, and it's never really gone away since '68. It's always been there, sort of creeping around the back of the farmhouse, waiting to tear down the barricades and come in and have a nibble and a nosh when you least expect it. But this movie, Outbreak, again, are they zombies? Does it really matter if they're running around or shambling around and they're attacking living human beings, passing on the plague? If you get bit or if you get scratched, suddenly you're going to die and then you're going to be one of them. I don't know. These sort of cycles don't end. And as I say, we've got two movies right now, a Spanish one, and you've got this one. And there will be others. There's never just one or two. They form groups, and then before you know it, there's an army of them. But with Jeff Wolfe behind this, I looked into it as well. There is practical effects and the stunt work, obviously. So, although it sounds like a very sort of, from that brief synopsis, a park ranger and his wife trying to find their missing son during an apocalypse. In the middle of probably nowhere. It could be very sort of low key. I don't suspect that. I think it will be in scope, and it won't have that many characters. You're not going to have hordes of zombies, all across the landscape. I don't think you're going to get that, but you're going to get little sort of moments of tension, finding derelict buildings or shopping malls. So you can't talk about zombies without suddenly a shopping mall suddenly appearing in your imagination. But you'll encounter these things, and possibly other rogue bands of survivors who you can't trust. Because once the apocalypse happens, society breaks down. And when that breaks down, we break down. And you turn on each other. Suddenly, if there's no one to uphold any law, and it is true, folks, and sadly it's been well and truly witnessed and documented since time began, that mankind, when there's no actual authority to adhere to, you will fall back on primal instincts. Oh, I never liked you. No one's gonna stop me. Boom, boom. Or I always fancied your wife. I'm gonna have her. This is what happens. This is how, mankind completely falls apart in times of really extreme, dire futility. We can't get along. We can't band together until some crusading figurehead says the right words and motivates everyone to put down their weapons and unite. Yeah, and that happens a lot, doesn't it? No, it doesn't. Because some people go, I like what he says, others, I don't. And then they form their own leader. And then you've got two tribes. And then two tribes go to war. Oh God, the 80s, bring the 80s back. So there you go. Just a brief video really, just to say that we've got zombie movies on the way, and yeah, and I'm all for it. I have no problem with these genres resurfacing and being regurgitated. I go on at length about like, oh, a remake, a sequel, a prequel, or whatever. And by and large, they're utter tripe, trash, and awful. Which of course is what all the zombie extras tend to be fed, you know, in these gruesome, gory scenes of devouring victims. But when it comes to this sort of thing, it really, you want something different, yeah, different characters, but the basic premise of people trying to survive against an onslaught of the undead or something horrific which outnumbers them millions to one, it never grows old. I think we as a species have a fear of that, of being alone against an enemy, being the outsider. And of course, as I said many times, George Romero took the idea from Richard Matheson's terrific novel, some say novella, it's a novel, I Am Legend, which of course has been filmed 3 times now. Vincent Price with The Last Man on Earth, which was the most faithful to his book. Charlton Heston in The Omega Man, oh we love The Omega Man. Ron Grainer's music, Jesus, yeah. And then of course Will Smith in I Am Legend. And we're getting I Am Legend 2. Yeah, okay. Well, the thing is, I love that book. I loved Will Smith's version. I've loved all 3 versions, to be honest, for different reasons. But the book itself, it's a groundbreaker, and it did change and shape sci-fi and horror, combining the 2 play. Of course, in the book, I Am Legend, they're vampires, they are not zombies. And Romero just went, hang on a minute, I love that idea of like humanity being outnumbered by an aggressive sort of force of shambling ghouls from beyond the grave. And whereas Matheson took the idea of like, well, it's already happened and you've got one man, Robert Neville, is left alive, and all of the vampires surround his house every night, whilst during the day he goes out, and as many as he can find, he'll stake and he'll kill them. And the pivotal thing is that he will realise at the end that he is the monster, because he's the one who's different. Everybody else is, they're normal, they're the normal, the new normal, and he is standing in their way. He's the monster. He's the thing that they tell their young ones about, you know, bedtime nightmare stories, behave yourself, or Robert Neville will come and get you. And he realises this, and that's fucking genius. But Romero took it, like, oh, I can't use vampires. I was like, oh, well, he didn't call them zombies, they were called ghouls. And in the movie Night of the Living Dead, you will not hear the word zombie mentioned once. They call them ghouls, or creatures, or things, these things. And these aggressors, or assassins they call them as well. But not zombies. That didn't come until later on with Dawn of the Dead, when it's all fucking zombies then. But that's because society and the culture that adopted Night of the Living Dead forced it upon him. Well, they're zombies, they're back from the grave. Well, yeah. But whereas Matheson talked about, it's all happened, this is just one guy, and it's sort of the evolution of this catastrophe. Romero thought, I want to tell the start of it. But cleverly, cunningly, tantalizingly, he never gave you a reason as to why it happened. Oh yes, you can always come up with, oh look, there's a NASA had to destroy a Venus probe that came back from a failed mission and dropped in the Atlantic, but they had to destroy it because it's carrying too much radiation. And they're trying to, you know, well, zombie outbreak, outbreak of mass violence and murder, but by people that look normal, but they're shambling monsters. You know, they're eating the flesh of their victims, and anyone that dies during this emergency will come back as one of them. You know, and it's brilliant. It's brilliant. But you're kind of tenuously linking, ooh, massive Venus probe, massive radiation, and mass reawakening of the dead. But is it combined? Romero never makes it clear. He doesn't want to. That's the whole point. And of course, they spawn a massive franchise, all of which have merit. Some less than others, diary and survival. but we've got Twilight to look forward to as well. Not this Billy Burke Twilight with the fucking vampires. And the pretty boys and all that crap. But anyway, so zombies, they're back in vogue. And I'm liking this idea of like, is it like a play on Missing 411? Has Jeff Wolfe sort of come up with this idea because of David Paulides? I don't know. He hasn't said anything of the kind. But straight away was like, he's a park ranger. He's got a missing son out in the national park. Whoa! And there's zombies. What's not to love? And even if they're not actually the living dead, if they are just victims of some horrible virus and plague, hey, look, the remake of Crazies itself from Romero, it's a sort of offshoot of the Night Living Dead idea he had. So normal folk are becoming completely crazed and committing murderous acts, and the military clamps down with an iron fist upon them, as it would tend to do anyway. And then the remake was actually really, really good. Cronenberg with Rabid, you know, it's a strain of bizarre rabies, and but people are committing really nasty acts of violence. And again, the remake of that was pretty decent and pretty nasty as well. But they're not technically zombies. But so what? 28 days, weeks, days, months. What's it? 28 years later it's going to be, isn't it? Yeah. Doesn't really matter what they are. The fact is, you've got to get the fuck away from them before they get hold of you, because then you're going to be in a world of hurt. Put a bullet in their head, you know, kill the brain, and you kill the ghoul, you know. Cheers, y'all. So let me know what you think. Are zombies back? Do we need them? Have they ever really been away? Well, you could say that, oh, don't get on your soapbox again, Kilt-Man. It's a Freedom Friday. You could say that a lot of the world are like zombies, sheeple. They're just shambling ghouls that just do as they're told. Don't think for themselves, you know. Don't think ahead of what's happened or what's going to happen. You know, it's either doom and gloom or it's yay, and you hate anyone that differs from your opinion. Oh, hate. Honestly, you couldn't write this shit, could you? You really couldn't. The real world is so full of absolute absurdity, irony, and just jokey wokeyisms that poke fun at the very idea of human existence. Reality doesn't work for too many people, says the guy that just spends most of his time watching movies and drinking alcohol to put himself into a different state. Well, it works for me. And as a final note on that, you guys know that I want to talk about everything that's happening because, I've got a lot of opinions. I used to do that magazine edition where we went to town on what was happening in the real world. And very popular it was too. And rattled a few cages, of course. What's the point if you can't rattle a few cages? Grab people by the scruff of the neck and shake them until they realise the error of their ways. But then again, you've got people who want to shake me by the neck until I realise the error of my ways. And this is the way the world is. The world does not debate anymore. It doesn't do that. You have the wokey brigade, the lefties, who are like, they'll pour over with forensic, attention. Was there anything he said there which I can be offended by? And they'll waste enormous amounts of brain matter and time. Yes, he said, yes, we can get him on that. Get him on that. It's a hate crime. Hate crime? A hate crime? He couldn't even say crime properly. Get him on that. It's a crime against the human language, English. God. Oh, where am I going with this? I don't know. But I don't do those shows anymore because, you get in too much trouble. You shouldn't, but you do. So I don't. So in a way, they've got me. They got me by the bollocks. Got me by the bollocks and over a barrel, and they've zipped this. I'll be back. I'll be back. Elon Musk believes in freedom of speech. Trump believes in freedom of speech to a degree. As long as it's him saying it. So maybe they're going to have a sort of tectonic shift in the culture of the world at the moment, where wokeisms and just, you can't say that, the minority, we're back on zombies again, the minority who bizarrely were becoming a majority because they were just sheeple, they were just following the flow, and a lot of them are too afraid to say what they really felt. Politicians, what's a woman? Oh, none of them can answer it. What's a woman? Hey, from about the age of 11, I could fucking tell you what a woman was. Oh yeah. Fucking. These are people who are ruling us, and they're so pathetic and whimsical and afraid to say what they really feel. And they'll go with the party line. Oh, get out of here. See, what I really feel about them, I can't say. Because trouble. Oh God. Well, see, the thing about zombie movies is that you can interpret them in a very political way. Now, Romero did do that, but he would when quizzed like, he'd be like, no, I'm poking fun at civil rights, not poking fun, shouldn't say that. I'm poking fun at commercialism, mass commercialism with Dawn of the Dead. I'm poking fun at the industrial military standpoint with the scientific brigade with Day of the Dead. With Night, it was Vietnam, it was the harsh newsreel broadcasts of battered GIs, limbless, faceless, and you've seen that on the 6 o'clock news. His movie was nowhere near as graphic as that, by the way. But and obviously the civil rights movement and mass unrest within different states and America at large, and the fear of communism as well. They look just like us, But really, although he was alluding to those things, they were just tiny little elements of, I just want to tell a story like Richard Matheson's story, I Am Legend. I just want to tell my version with a few more humans and, and a farmhouse instead of like a house. And they're zombies. Well, they're ghouls. They're not vampires. He was doing it for exploitation purposes. They had made enough money. The Latent Image and Latent 10 groups that he was working with, they made enough money from doing commercials and industrial movies for corporations and that, and they got all the proper equipment to make a feature-length movie, and they had enough money to do so. So, well, what's the cheapest and easiest thing to do? What sells? Oh, horror and sex. Well, okay, let's do a horror movie, and we'll put a nude female zombie in there, which they did, of course. But you've got your leading man, your hero, is a black man. Race doesn't come into it. Not once is that alluded to. And we'll talk more about this because it became something after the film came out, but that's not what the intent was. Ben's character, played by Dwayne Jones, was written with just a white guy in mind. I hadn't really thought about it, but they just thought it's going to be a white guy. And after a couple of auditions, Dwayne Jones comes in, black man. We didn't think that of it. Go on, read for the part. And he got the part because Romero and John Russo and Russell Striner, who plays Johnny, they're coming to get you, Barbara. The brother at the start. The other, no, he gave the best performance. Yeah, let's have him. And it never was an issue. It doesn't get brought up once. But of course, film historians go back and look at Night of the Living Dead and go, oh my God, it broke the mold. We had a black leading man. And he gets killed by a bunch of a redneck posse at the end when he's not even a zombie. We'll address all this. It's easy to label Sheriff McClellan and his posse as rednecks if you're outside those areas, especially if you're outside America. Just a bunch of gun-toting rednecks that are enjoying it. In Dawn of the Dead, yes, they are, because Romero was retaliating to what people were saying about that movie. McClellan and his men are not rednecks. They are concerned police and deputies and citizens and a bit of maybe armed militia, because every town's got one, who are going to join it with the National Guard and the Army and do it in a more organised fashion. But they're going out and they're saving people in isolated areas and farmsteads and ranches and that. So they're doing a damn good thing. And it's an accidental shooting, which would happen. Situations like this, it would happen when they kill Ben. But it's not racially motivated. A gang of rednecks, and the irony, they kill him at the end. No, the irony is that he's not a zombie, but they assume that he is without asking any questions. Just bang! And shoot him dead. And then put him on the fire. Yeah, they're dead. They're all messed up, you know. So there's a lot to discuss. There's a lot to unpack with the zombie genre itself. A lot of people who go, oh, just zombies. Oh, God, I'm bored of this. And there are people like that, believe it or not. They just think it's just so simplistic. And in many cases, yes, it is. Yes, it is. But if it's well done, who the hell cares? The Walking Dead would not have happened without George Romero, well, obviously. The Walking Dead is so huge and all-encompassing that there's a lot of different ideas going there, but it all boils down to one thing: mankind can't get along with mankind. When there's no real authority. Walking Dead, there's loads of different communities get set up, and some are very altruistic and helpful, but someone else with their more militaristic, tribe or community will lean on them, if not wipe them out, subjugate them and use them as slaves. And this is what happens. But Walking Dead became very, very repetitive. I stopped watching it, a good couple of years ago, 3 years ago even. And I know that Daryl Dixon's gone off to Paris, or whatever, fucking hell he's gone, like, how the hell do you do that? And no, I don't care. Don't bother commenting and saying, well, actually, what happened was this, and it's really good, you should watch it. It ties in with that Spanish one you were talking about. No, I don't care. I've seen enough of Walking Dead and all the characters in it. There's nothing I want to see about that now. I want to see new stories, even if they're just retreading, old ground. Because it's zombies, This is one of the things I'm very forgiving about with zombie movies, because I just want to see people get chomped. I want to see a gallant last stand. I want to see desperation. I want to see really great makeup effects. I want suspense and tension. An interesting character I can hinge my hopes upon, and just see how they deal with the situation. Because we're all fascinated by the apocalypse. Because we're forever driving ourselves towards it, aren't we? No matter what we do. No matter how many peacemongers there are out there. It's not going to stop a damn thing, because we just don't get along. And if the world was inherited by a lot of peaceful hippie, loving summer types, loving summer. We all love the summer, don't we? Tangent here. Hasn't been any sunshine for 3.5 weeks here. Not one bit of sunshine. Nothing. Constant gloom, constant grey, overcast. People are talking about it all the while now, because I haven't seen anything like this before. I know it's just the weather, but normally you get a break in it. Nothing. 3.5 weeks. It's going to be 4 weeks this weekend of no sunshine, no break in those clouds, nothing. And it isn't just round here. All over the UK, we've been blanketed in this airborne smoke haze. I'm playing Manuel de Sica's score for Michele Soavi's 1996 De La Morte de l'Amour with Rupert Everett in the cemetery. He's also known as Cemetery Man, battling. Again, they don't call them zombies in this, but they fucking clearly are. They're called returners. He has sex on a grave, and he has a great time. And it's a boss movie, and a great score, very hypnotic score as well. And his friend Nocky, he was like a bald Uncle Fester type. He was a bit strange. And the whole thing's in a snow globe at the end. It's a wonderful, wonderful movie. But I'm playing that score right now. And yeah, they're zombies. I don't care what anyone says, they're fucking zombies. And that was based on, was it Dylan Dog? De La Morte de l'Amour. Cheers, y'all. So, well, you probably got more than you bargained for there. I just literally started this just to talk about a couple of new zombie movies. what we end up talking about the world and society at large, because that's what zombie movies do. They mimic what's happening. The individual, the isolationist, or maybe forced into being an isolationist, protect my borders, my barriers, my community, my house, my room, my cellar, from anyone that tries to get in. Isolationism against the blinkered, benighted mass that's out there. The mass which is wrong and is just driven because of some forced doctrine. In the case of zombies, they're just like mindless, but you can perceive it in any way you want. The militaristic might, communism, it's all there. It's all there. I'd say zombie movies are the most socially aware type of genre film. You can't really put that into a vampire movie. And although Matheson's original novel, I Am Legend, they are vampires, and you can read into it whatever you want, I don't think Matheson worked a lot with Twilight Zone and Outer Limits, and I don't think he was thinking politically at all about when he wrote that. I think that was just an expanded Twilight Zone sort of story. Look, I want one man left. And of course, the Twilight Zone had episodes like that where you had one surviving member of the human race after an apocalypse. Or were they? Or had it been an apocalypse? And clever little tangents on that. And that's all I Am Legend is. Well, I want the apocalypse and one man's left alive. The last man on Earth. But maybe he isn't alone. What's out there? And it's a sci-fi horror fable. You could project politics upon that if you are so inclined, but I don't think I've read the book many times. There are things you could look at in it, but it's basically a day-by-day sort of tale of a guy fighting to survive, but also on a quest to kill off all these other bastards who are out there, and then the realization that, oh shit, I'm the bastard, aren't I? I am legend, it's genius. And sadly, there is a dog in it. Yeah, and that chapter, oh God. Yeah, it broke my little kid's heart when I first read that book, and it continues to do so. The dogs will inherit the earth. I trust dogs a lot more than I trust people, put it that way. And then in bloody I Am Legend, they made zombie dogs as well. Oh God! Dude, who put the bite on Will Smith's dog? Oh, the German Shepherd. Oh God. Sam, come here, Sam. And then you don't realise it at first. Sam is actually short for Samantha, and it's a bitch. And as you guys, long-standing viewers know, I had at that time a great big prehistoric-sized German Shepherd, black and tan German Shepherd, called Pepper, who of course was female, and who died in my arms, just over there, just behind me over there, on New Year's Eve. And like Will Smith has to kill his dog because she's become infected. After saving him, she's become infected as well, and it's on the turn. Well, I'd have to kill my dog. My dog just happened to die and throw herself on me and took me down as well. So, and I always used to imagine me and Pepper at the time, patrolling the wastelands, post-apocalypse. Me and her still be together. Cemeteries at the back there, and we used to go out there every day, sometimes twice, maybe even 3 times a day. We'd be in the cemetery on patrol with the legions of the dead beneath us. And I never thought she'd die, and of course she did. And of course now I've got Roxy the husky, who is the Thing. So another dog that's part of a favourite movie of mine. Bloody hell, I've got the Thing. And Roxy, of course, is dying, but Roxy's fighting. She's going on. She's outlived what the vets have said. She's out there right now. She's actually upside down, with her legs in the air and her body twisted round. Husky's getting to the most unusual positions, and but there's no two ways about it. Her days are numbered. So me and her patrolling the wasteland. I'm afraid it's going to be me on my own. Or you can join us as well. We can make our own tribe, the Celtic clan. I'm sure we'd stick together through thick and thin. Our quest, our endless quest to scour the wasteland for whiskey. Well done. Hey, what's your cargo? Whiskey. Whiskey. Whiskey galore. Right, folks, I have been always Kilt-Man. Please, in the meantime, if ever zombies can mean anything in between time, please keep it Celtic, keep it Celtic. And I'm going to see you all. Night of the Living Dead. If you've got it, watch it. We're going to talk about it really, really in depth and have a lot of fun doing so as well. Although, do I need to? I've discussed all its major points already. God, that'll be this weekend. So enjoy your Freedom Friday. Take your tinfoil hats off. Just have fun. Remember to look at the world around you. Look at the birds in the trees. Try to ignore the vehicles going past and polluting the air and all that, and the sirens going off. But look at nature, look at trees, look at the grass. Look at your own house. I'm like, oh yeah, and the pictures on the wall, and see your friends and see your family, and rejoice in the fact that you've got people around you that know you and love you. Make the most of that. The rest of it, if we all just did that a bit more often, you wouldn't have all this shit. You would, because most families don't get along. Then there you have it, folks. Right, I'm out of here. Goodbye.